3 divine revelations to reflect on before entering a sacred relationship, a prophetic message. The sun streamed through the stained glass of the quaint chapel, casting colorful patterns upon the wooden pews as the congregation fell silent, expectant. Emily's heart raced. Today felt different. The pastor stood before them, a beacon of divine authority, his voice reverberating through the air like a heavenly bell. Before entering your sacred union, reflect on these 3 divine revelations, he declared, his eyes glowing with spiritual intensity. Suddenly, the air thickened with a palpable energy, as if the very essence of faith had come alive. Emily gasped, feeling an electric warmth envelop her as she locked eyes with the pastor. It was as though God himself was whispering directly into her heart. First, know your own worth in God's eyes. Second, seek the purpose of your union, and finally, trust in the timing of his plan. Each revelation struck her like a chiseled stone, resonating deep within her soul. Around her, the congregation murmured, some nodding, others wiping away tears. A reflective haze blanketed the room, amplifying the experience. Visions of glorious angels swirled in her mind, illuminating her path. Deep down, she felt God drawing a beautiful tapestry, intricately weaving her life with threads of faith, love, and commitment. After the service, Emily found herself caught in conversations with friends and family, all urging her to consider love seriously, especially with wedding bells chiming in the village. Societal expectations loomed large like ominous shadows, threatening to drown out the grace she felt. As she walked home, doubt nibbled at her thoughts. Was she ready to embrace love? Was she prepared to weather the storms of expectation? It was during her evening prayers in the chapel, shrouded in intimate twilight, that Emily met Jacob. His presence ignited an immediate spark, an enigmatic man with a captivating smile, and a past that lingered like a cloud of uncertainty. He charmed her with laughter, but whispers within warned of his morally gray edges. Yet as she studied him, her heart warmed at the thought that he too might be seeking redemption. Emily, she could almost hear the heavens tugging at her heart, and she sank to her knees, seeking guidance. She prayed fervently, Lord, grant me clarity. Suddenly, a wave of tranquility washed over her, and in that moment, divine grace unfolded like a blooming flower. A realization emerged. Love wasn't solely about happiness but a commitment fashioned in faith. The vision she held of a sacred union materialized anew, vibrant, full of purpose, intertwining hope with perseverance. Then, just as she began to revel in this revelation, a family crisis erupted. A beloved aunt fell seriously ill, pulling Emily into a whirlwind of panic. And amidst the chaos, her relationship with Jacob deepened perplexingly at the very time it threatened to crumble under scrutiny. The village held its breath as Emily navigated this turbulent sea of faith and doubt. Would she be swayed by the anxiety of societal acceptance, or would she trust in the divine direction laid before her? As prayer gatherings surged, unity blossomed in her heart, whispered questions echoing louder than ever. Would her newfound understanding of love stand firm against the tides of turmoil? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emily stood at a crucial crossroad. Uncertainty gripped her heart, yet divine whispers beckoned her soul forward. In those sacred moments of prayer, she sensed her journey was unfolding. Each revelation layered upon her spirit filled her with hope. The villagers watched her transformation, their prayers rising like incense in the air, intermingling with her dreams. As the sun set beyond the cobbled streets, Emily felt the weight of the world lift, uncertainty giving way to an undeniable pull toward the path illuminated before her. What would the outcome of her fervent faith and commitment be? Would she find the answers to the revelations that called out through the quiet of her heart? The air thrummed with divine possibility, just as her journey was beginning to reveal its true purpose. The following days passed like leaves blown by a gentle spring breeze. Emily sensed that each moment brought her closer to a divine purpose. Yet the shadow of her aunt's illness loomed large. Her family needed her now more than ever, and each prayer felt like a lifeline tossed into the tempest raging around them. In the evenings, the chapel became her sanctuary. Surrounded by flickering candles and the comforting smell of old wood and polished stone, she found herself kneeling often, seeking solace. During her prayers, she held her aunt's image in her heart, envisioning her vibrant laughter and radiant smile. "Lord, bring her healing," she implored softly, her voice trembling under the weight of her longing. Each whispered prayer echoed with hope, but the urgency of their situation threatened to dim that light. One evening, amidst her prayers, she felt a different kind of calling. The thought of Jacob surfaced, and she couldn't shake the urgency that pulsed through her heart. Perhaps this was part of her divine purpose, to guide him, as he had unknowingly begun to guide her. She recalled the glimmers of connection they shared, the laughter that healed her spirit, and the way he listened with a tenderness that soothed her restless heart. But could their bond withstand the pressures of the world? The whispers of doubt surged anew. The expectations of family and friends clawed at her mind. What if he isn't the one? The very notion kept her awake, tossing and turning, contemplating choices that couldn't be undone. Yet, through the veil of uncertainty, she felt that God was present in these trials, shaping her faith like clay in a potter's hands. It was during a prayer meeting at the chapel that clarity struck like a lightning bolt. The pastor spoke of love as a journey of trials and shielding each other in faith. "No precious bond is born without sacrifice," he said, his voice a soothing balm against her fears. "Do not shy away from what stretches you. It is in those moments that divine love blooms." In that moment, Emily realized that perhaps her path was not solely about finding love, but also about being present for others. As she watched her community come together, hearts entwined in shared prayers and songs of hope, she felt empowered to reach out to Jacob. This was a chance for them both to grow, to become a light for each other amidst chaos. With renewed strength, Emily took a deep breath and collected her thoughts. Under the backdrop of evening stars, she decided to invite Jacob to join her for a prayer session in the chapel. "We can seek guidance together," she whispered to herself, hardly believing she was ready to take that leap. In the days that followed, she worked up the courage to approach him. The sun was just beginning to dip below the horizon as she found him by the riverbank, gazing into the water's shimmering surface. "Jacob," she started, her voice steady, his head turned, surprise reflecting in his eyes. "Emily, there you are," he smiled, warmth dancing in his eyes. "Is something on your mind?" And as she opened her heart to him, sharing the weight of her concerns and the glow of her revelations, she felt as if a fragile thread began to weave them closer. With each word, every light of hope that lit her spirit, there was the promise of something sacred, waiting to be birthed. Yet, as they spoke, a distant church bell marked a significant hour, echoing loudly through the village. A sense of urgency settled in their hearts. Would this moment of vulnerability bring them closer, or would it set off unforeseen challenges? Emily clenched her hands, knowing that the journey was just beginning. She had stepped into a divine dance of fate. As they explored this connection, the path ahead remained shrouded in mystery. What truths would they uncover together, and how would their faith shape their bond in the face of life's trials? With hearts racing, they stood on the brink of transformation, the night stretching out before them like an uncharted map. Emily felt the weight of silence settle between them, heavy with unsaid words and swirling emotions. The river flowed steadily beside them, a reminder of life's currents and the choices that lay ahead. As the last light of day melted into twilight, she sought Jacob's gaze, searching for an anchor in the storm of her thoughts. "Jacob," she ventured, her heart pounding like a drum. "I've been praying a lot lately, seeking guidance on what to do next in life, in love and in family." He nodded, his expression softening. "I felt a change in the air, too. It's like we're standing on the precipice of something important. But what are those prayers telling you?" Emily inhaled deeply, the crisp night air filling her lungs. I want to invite you to the chapel, to pray together. I need to know more about what this connection really means and if we should dare to explore it. Jacob's eyes sparkled with curiosity, mixed with a hint of hesitation. You mean it? You really want to do that? Yes, she affirmed, determination rising in her voice. I believe we can seek God's will together. I feel like there's something significant here, something God wants us to discover. A flicker of understanding passed between them, like a shared secret. Jacob smiled, the warmth emanating from him like sunlight breaking through clouds. I'd love to. Feels like we've been drawn together for a reason. At that moment, the air shifted. It was almost as if the universe paused, holding its breath in anticipation. Emily's heart danced with hope, yet tightened with the awareness that the road ahead might not be easy. You realize, Jacob said, his voice softening, that this could change everything. What if we uncover something about each other or ourselves that's challenging to accept? Emily's chest swelled with emotion at his honesty. That's true, she replied. But I sent that part of faith? Leaning into the uncomfortable, trusting that God will guide us through? They stood in silence, contemplating the weight of their intentions. The sun inched beneath the horizon, enveloping them in shadows and whispers of the night. As their plans to meet took root, doubts began to surface again. What if their fears clashed with the divine possibilities? Could they really open their hearts without losing the bond they already shared? Sometimes, Jacob began, a newfound fervor igniting in his eyes. The shadows we fear are only signs of something greater waiting to emerge. A little faith can lead to miracles, right? Emily felt the joy bubbling within her at his words. Exactly. It reminds me of that story in the Bible, the one about the mustard seed. If you have faith, even the size of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. As they spoke, the chill of the night wrapped around them. The stars twinkled brightly above, as if nodding in agreement with their intentions. Emily felt the presence of something greater, a quiet assurance that they were embarking on a path lined with divine possibilities. Then it settled. She declared, her voice steady. Let's meet tomorrow evening at the chapel. Let us lay our hearts bare before God and see what unfolds. Jacob smiled, the warmth of his hope mingling with hers, creating a luminous space of shared intent. But just as they leaned into this sacred decision, a distant wind began to howl, rustling the trees and sending a shiver through the air. Emily's heart skipped a beat. Be cautious, a small voice whispered in her spirit. The path to truth is rarely smooth. What challenges might you face? As uncertainty loomed like a shadow on the horizon, Emily clung to the light that glowed within her heart. With a gentle nudge, Jacob took her hand. Together, he said earnestly, we can navigate whatever lies ahead. And in that moment, standing at the edge of the riverbank, they embraced the unfolding mystery. What would they discover in their prayers? Would their bond deepen or be tested by unexpected trials? As the first stars blinked awake in the night sky, Emily felt the pull of destiny weaving a tapestry of connection that only faith could illuminate. The night wrapped around Emily and Jacob like a silent promise, each shadowed corner and whispered breeze hinting at the sacred journey they were about to embark upon. Their hearts beat in sync, a rhythm that echoed the gentle flow of the river nearby. It was in this moment of unity that Emily felt the stirring of something profound. I can't shake the feeling that tomorrow might change everything, she said tentatively, her voice barely rising above the rustle of leaves. Jacob nodded, his expression warm yet contemplative. I feel it too. There's a sense of purpose hovering just beyond the horizon, waiting for us. A soft breeze brushed against her cheek, and a sadness swelled inside her as she considered all that lay at stake. What if we're not ready? What if our prayers lead us to an uncomfortable truth? Even the most beautiful flowers grow through dirt, Jacob replied earnestly, his eyes fixed on hers. Growth often comes from uncomfortable places. Isn't that what God does? He cultivates our souls in ways we least expect. Emily's heart swelled at his words. They ignited a spark of courage deep within her, reminding her why they felt driven to this chapel at all. You're right, she sighed, the weight of fear lifting ever so slightly. Perhaps this is how we learn to trust not only in God but in each other. The evening air bore a hint of mystery. It was as if the stars themselves were holding their breath, illuminating a path of faith that stretched out before them. Remember the disciples? Jacob continued, excitement dancing in his voice. They had to venture into the unknown, leaving behind their old lives to pursue a calling. They didn't know what would happen next, but faith guided them. That's exactly it, Emily exclaimed, her spirit buoyed by the thought. They didn't have all the answers, but they stepped forward anyway, trusting that God would handle the details. An unspoken agreement settled between them, their hearts now synchronized by a flicker of divine hope. And yet, the night breeze carried a sense of urgency, as if the very forces of nature were urging them onward. Tomorrow we open ourselves fully to whatever God wants for us, Jacob murmured, taking a step closer. He may reveal our deepest desires, or potentially our fears. But we can't shy away from that. Emily felt a flicker of vulnerability wash over her. So much can change in one moment. But I believe, don't you, that God will protect us, guide us through whatever shadows fall. Yes. Jacob's affirmation rang strong, a beautiful echo of their shared intent. Let us make that commitment right now. No matter what we uncover tomorrow, we stand together in faith. Their hands entwined. A palpable energy flowed between them, an enchanting blend of trust and courage, vibrant yet serene. As the moon cast a silvery glow on the river, they closed their eyes, inhaling deeply, allowing themselves to be enveloped in prayer. Lord, Emily whispered softly into the night, her heart aligned with Jacob's, we seek your guidance. Open our hearts, reveal your truth, and help us navigate this journey. Let us find your light in the darkness. In that communion, a tender peace settled around them, hinting at the joyous possibilities just beyond their grasp. As they released their connected hands, a rustling of branches startled Emily. The shadows appeared to shift in time with her heart. Something in the air seemed to vibrate with potential. Have you ever felt like movement was about to happen? Jacob asked, his brow furrowed in thought. Like something great is on the verge of coming to fruition. Yes. Her breath caught in her throat, and goosebumps prickled her skin as realization dawned. They were on the brink of encountering Goddess voice, ready to unravel divine mysteries that would shape their hearts forever. With that understanding shimmering in the air between them, a profound silence fell, wrapping them in serenity. Yet the undercurrent of anticipation thrummed just beneath. What divine revelations awaited them in the chapel tomorrow? Would their connection grow stronger, or would they face trials that would test their faith? As Emily gazed into the night sky, she felt the stirring of destiny. Little did they know how the journey would unfold, and what unknown mysteries God was preparing to reveal. The dawn broke tenderly over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold. Emily and Jacob stirred in the soft light, each caught in a web of hopeful anticipation. Today was the day. They could feel it in their bones and hear it in the quiet rustle of the leaves outside. As they dressed, the air felt charged, a lingering whisper of the sacredness they both sensed last night. Emily looked out the window, her heart racing. Do you think it's really going to happen today? She asked, her voice a mix of eagerness and anxiety. Jacob smiled, a comforting warmth spreading across his features. Whatever happens, we're ready. We're stepping into the light together, and that's what matters, he replied confidently. They made their way to the chapel, the sun glistening against the dewdrops that clung to the grass. As they walked, a deeper understanding settled in Emily's heart. She began to perceive their journey as part of a tapestry woven with threads of faith, love, and divine purpose. A moment of reflection washed over her. God has a way of guiding us, doesn't he? She mused, looking to Jacob for affirmation. Absolutely, Jacob exclaimed, his voice brimming with enthusiasm. He leads us through situations that shape us. It's like he's gently turning us to face new horizons. Their conversation flowed in harmony, each word a testament to their growing faith in one another and in God. Finally, they reached the chapel, its old stones standing noble against the brightening sky. The door awaited them, creaking softly as they opened it, beckoning them inside. Inside, a hush enveloped them. Sunlight streamed through the stained glass, casting colorful patterns on the wooden pews. The atmosphere felt alive with possibility, as if the walls themselves were witnesses to countless prayers and revelations. Each step deeper into this sacred space stirred an inner yearning within Emily. "Stay close," Jacob whispered, sensing her rising anticipation. They found their place in the chapel, the two of them on a small altar amid flickering candles. The scents of beeswax and incense blended in the air, cocooning them in a soothing embrace. With gentle breaths, they centered themselves, souls inviting each other and God to this moment. "Let us take a moment," Emily suggested, her voice soft yet firm. "To really listen." Jacob nodded, closing his eyes. The world outside faded, and Emily surrendered to the stillness. What was God trying to tell them? A chill traveled down her spine, the kind that sparked with divine energy. She felt a presence, the kind of warmth that nudges you when you're not quite ready but know that you should move forward anyway. Suddenly, she had a vision. She saw themselves, not just in this chapel but in a landscape filled with flowering fields and towering mountains. It was a canvas of beauty and challenges, interlaced with goddess promises. With a rush of understanding, Emily gasped, "Jacob, what if our journey isn't just for us? What if God is preparing us to help others, to be his hands in healing?" His eyes flew open, realization mirroring her own. "You're right. Our stories can ripple out, touching lives we may never even see." Their hearts ignited with excitement, yet a subtle weight still hung in the air. They hadn't yet fully faced the shadows that accompanied such a calling. The thought lingered like a cloud. What would it truly require of them? As they knelt, Emily murmured a prayer for clarity. "Lord, reveal to us not just your promises, but the trials we may face. We seek your strength to endure and serve." The chapel felt electric, pulsing with life and timeless wisdom. Just then, an unexpected rustle echoed from the back of the room. Startled, both turned to see an old man shuffle in, weathered hands clasped tightly before him. His gaze bore the weight of experience and wisdom, a reflection of the very trials they felt were on the horizon. "Are you here for revelations?" he asked, his voice a warm gravel. His presence brought an uneasy comfort, a reminder of the journey for all who dare to seek. Emily could sense it, an invitation, a challenge, perhaps even a divine moment meant just for them. What truths will unfold before them now? She wondered, excitement mixed with trepidation. As Jacob nodded to the man, their eyes locked, and the air thickened with unspoken connections. What unexpected wisdom awaited them from this stranger? Would it lead them deeper into faith or shake their foundations? The old man took a few careful steps forward, his eyes twinkling with a light that seemed both ancient and youthful, as if he carried the weight of the world alongside the hope of the heavens. "Ah, the yearning of young hearts," he said, his voice soft but firm, so eager to know the hidden paths ahead. "But know this, every revelation comes with a measure of responsibility." Emily and Jacob felt their hearts race together, a synchronizing beat echoing the pulse of their faith. It was as if the air shimmered around them, vibrating with the weight of what he said. "Each of you has a calling that intertwines," he continued, casting a glance at both of them. "But it is not merely for your own fulfillment. You are being called to embrace a larger purpose, a wider picture. How willing are you to step beyond yourselves?" "Beyond ourselves," Emily repeated softly, her mind racing with implication. Jacob's brow furrowed in thought. They both understood on some level that a calling came with sacrifice, but what kind of sacrifice was God asking of them? "Sometimes," the old man continued, moving to a candle and carefully lighting another wick, "it is in the moments of silence that God's voice is clearest. And sometimes, it is in the chaos of life that his plans unfold in the most beautiful and challenging ways." Just then, the flames danced wildly, and the candlelight flickered, casting shadows that seemed to reach out to them, beckoning them to a place of introspection. "You must embrace the challenges ahead," he said, "for with each trial you will be refined. Your faith will bloom, It will stretch, it will tear, but in the end, it will bring forth a harvest bountiful in grace and healing. A rush of emotion swelled in Emily's chest. But what if we fail? She whispered, wrestling with the weight of uncertainty. The old man's eyes softened further, radiating an understanding that felt almost transcendent. It is in our failures that we learn the most profound lessons. God does not expect perfection, only sincerity. Take heart, for you are not alone. You must lean on one another and on the love of God. With that, he paused, allowing the words to blossom in the sacred space around them. The rich smell of incense mingled with the warmth of candlelit shadows, cocooning them in a space of divine invitation, as if they were being cradled in Goddess hands. Now, I ask you this. Are you ready to answer the call, to trust in divine guidance, even when your path is unclear? The question hung in the air, heavy yet filled with hope. Jacob finally spoke, a fierce determination piercing through his uncertainty. We are ready. It's not just about us. We feel it. We want to serve, to help others. Good, the man said, a smile breaking across his weathered face. In that readiness lies the power of transformation. Proceed with faith, and what God has prepared for you will unfold like the petals of a flower kissed by morning dew. A hush fell over them, draping the moment in sacred silence, and both felt the weight of what was to come settle upon their shoulders. The old man straightened, revealing a small piece of parchment from within his tattered cloak. Take this as a reminder of your commitment and your purpose. But remember, the journey will challenge you in ways you can't yet imagine. As they took the parchment, a strange flicker of apprehension stirred within them. What path lay ahead? What trials would test their resolve? With a gentle nod, the man turned toward the exit. Trust in what is unseen, and be bold in your faith. You will need each other and the strength of God more than ever. Be prepared for miracles and for trials. Both are part of the journey. As the door swung shut behind him, darkness wrapped around the chapel for a brief moment before the light filtered back through the stained glass, illuminating their faces. Heartbeats quickened, and the certainty of their path ahead was met with newfound resolve. Emily turned to Jacob, her eyes bright with fire. What comes next? What are we truly being called to do? Jacob, clutching the parchment tightly, felt the weight of destiny rest upon him. They were on the precipice of something much bigger than themselves, and a new adventure awaited them. Would they be ready to embrace the unknown? What miracles awaited their courageous steps into the light? The air buzzed with anticipation as Emily and Jacob exchanged glances, the parchment cradled between their trembling hands. The chapel, now alive with murmurs of their hearts, felt almost sacred, as if the very walls were bearing witness to their resolve. Their souls stirred, drawn into a deeper calling, an invitation to step onto a path yet untraveled. Let us pray, Emily suggested, her voice a soft whisper, heavy with the weight of their shared emotions. Jacob nodded, his gaze drifting upward toward the colorful stained glass where angels seemed to dance. Together, they settled onto the worn pew, the wood cool against their fingertips. Dear God, Emily began, her heart echoing the sincerity of her words, we seek your guidance. Show us the way. We are ready to follow, to serve, to be your hands and feet in this world. Jacob joined in, his voice steady. Help us understand our purpose and the responsibilities that accompany it. We trust in you to lead us, even through the darkness. As the stillness enveloped them, a warmth surged within. It felt as though the chapel had wrapped them in a gentle embrace, and in that moment, the flickering candlelight grew brighter, illuminating their path of commitment and purpose. Emily closed her eyes, allowing the presence of God to wash over her, and Jacob felt a deep conviction settling in his bones. Suddenly, the air thickened as though charged with divine electricity. A vision began to form in the depths of their minds. They could see themselves in a bustling marketplace, surrounded by the laughter of children and the soulful songs of the elderly. Their hands reached out, extending beyond themselves, intertwined with those in need. A vision of healing hearts and mending lives unfurled, sentiment echoing. This is your calling. Did you see that? Jacob gasped, breaking the silence, his eyes wide with wonder. Emily nodded, breathless and alive. What if we are to serve in our community? To bring people together? To listen to their stories? She pondered aloud, her heart racing with excitement and a tinge of fear. The realization settled like dew on a fresh morning, awakening their spirits. They were to be instruments of change, moving through barriers and hardships to connect with others in profound ways. Each struggle would shape and refine them, drawing them closer to the divine. Yet, a shadow of doubt flickered within. What if we can't? Jacob asked, glancing down at the parchment that somehow felt heavier now. What if we don't have what it takes? Emily placed her hand over his, grounding him. What if we do? What if we trust that God will equip us for every step? Remember what the old man said, it's not about perfection. It's about sincerity. Their spirits ignited once more, pulses quickening in synchrony. Together, they took a deep breath, the air filled with the sweet scent of incense and possibility. They rose from the pew, a silent pact forming between them. Let us step out in faith, Jacob declared, a fire of conviction blazing in his chest. As they moved toward the door, the light from the outside poured in, casting long shadows behind them, past their moment of uncertainty. They would face trials, yes, but they had also embraced the promise of divine miracles. With one final glance back at the now tranquil chapel, the weight of their new reality settled upon them like a mantle of hope. The path ahead gleamed with promise, yet uncertainty lingered, teasing them with questions yet unanswered. What would their first steps into the community look like? What challenges awaited them that would test their faith in ways they never imagined? As they stepped out of the chapel and into the world, a gentle whisper lingered in the air, reminding them to be open and attentive. What transformation might God unveil as they dared to live their purpose? The adventure had only just begun. Sunlight enveloped Emily and Jacob as they exited the chapel, casting a warm glow that felt almost charged with divine potential. It was as if the world itself had taken a berceuse from the sacred space, momentarily joining the symphony of their hearts. The bustling street ahead throbbed with life. The aroma of fresh bread mingled with spices, and laughter spilled from the open doors of shops and homes. Where to first? Jacob asked, a hint of uncertainty edging his enthusiasm. Emily glanced at the busy marketplace, her pulse quickening. Let us find a place where we can talk to people, share stories. That feels right. With each step, the weight of the parchment in their hands transformed from a burden into a banner of purpose. The vision still lingered in their hearts, guiding them even as they ventured into the unknown. As they made their way through the stalls, vendors smiled and beckoned, their faces lined with joy and resilience, illuminating the hardships of life. To a small stand draped with vibrant fabrics, an elderly woman greeted them, her eyes twinkling like stars against the backdrop of a sunlit sky. Ah, young ones, what brings you here today? Jacob felt the tug of connection. We're looking to listen, to understand. Walk this path for a little while. Can you share your story? The old woman paused, her hands deftly threading beads into strings. Stories are what weave our lives together. I have plenty, but what do you want to know? Emily leaned in, captivated. Anything. We want to learn from you. About your experiences, your struggles, your joys. And just like that, the woman began to unravel her tale, her voice rich with aged wisdom. She spoke of loss and joy, of dreams thwarted and unexpected blessings. Her words flowed like the river, washing over Emily and Jacob, filling them with the depth of human experience. As the conversation blossomed, Emily felt a holy warmth encircle them. The woman's laughter sounded like music resonating in the air, pulling strangers together in that fleeting moment, creating a sacred space. Jacob's heart swelled with gratitude. This encounter was not merely a dialogue, it was divine revelation, a reminder that serving was not about grand gestures, but in the gentle act of listening and sharing. I never thought my story would matter to anyone, the old woman confessed, her gaze penetrating. But every struggle has transformed me, just as yours will transform you. Suddenly, a soft rustle emerged from deep within Emily's spirit. It was the awareness that their own path was being shaped through these shared moments. But as the woman's story echoed in her mind, doubt whispered again. Was it enough? Would the bonds they formed hold against the trials that lay ahead? God, show us, Emily silently prayed, her heart reaching skyward. With renewed fervor, they left the stand, the weight of their experience comforting yet heavy. They continued into the marketplace, where every face told a story, yet uncertainty loomed. How could they make a difference? What if they fell short of expectations? Jacob turned, catching her gaze as they pondered together. We must remember it's not about the outcome. It's about obedience in the moment. A flicker of revelation ignited within Emily. It wasn't merely about them but about serving the community, becoming conduits of Goddess love through their presence and willingness to listen. Let us find someone else to talk to, she said, her spirit lighting with possibility. Feeling emboldened, they moved on, eyes searching, hearts yearning for deeper connections. But just as they began to walk away, a figure emerged from the shadows, a young man, trembling, with a face etched in despair. As they approached, they could sense the weight of his burden. What might this encounter reveal about Goddess' purpose for them? Would this moment be the first step in a miraculous journey of healing? The adventure awaited them. The young man stood rooted in place, his eyes darting nervously between Emily and Jacob. He looked like a withered flower, struggling to find sunlight in a world that seemed overwhelmingly dark. Emily's heart ached at the sight, and her instinct was to reach out. She stepped forward, her voice gentle. Hey, are you all right? What's troubling you? He hesitated, as if swallowing the weight of his sorrows, before finally exhaling deeply. I don't know where to start. I feel lost, like I'm walking through a fog, and every step just leads me deeper into despair. Jacob stepped in, his voice steady and calming. You don't have to bear it alone. We're here to listen. Sometimes sharing our burdens can help lighten the load. The young man looked up, a flicker of vulnerability illuminating his features. I lost my job last week. I feel like everything is crumbling around me. I don't know how to go on. As he spoke, Emily felt an urgency rising within her. His pain echoed within her spirit, a reminder of her own struggles, the nights filled with uncertainties. It was as if the universe conspired to bring them together at this precise moment. Can we pray for you? She asked softly, instinctively, as if the words flowed from some divine well inside. Sometimes, bringing our worries to God helps us see a way through. His eyes widened, surprise mingled with curiosity. You would pray for me? Absolutely, Jacob affirmed, nodding. Everyone needs support sometimes, especially in hard times. We're all in this journey together. With that, the tension in the young man's shoulders seemed to ease slightly. Okay, I would like that. Emily and Jacob joined hands with him, creating a small circle of connection amidst the chaos of the vibrant marketplace. They bowed their heads. Emily whispered a prayer, asking for Goddess comfort, strength, and guidance for the young man. As she poured her heart into those words, she felt a warmth envelop them, like a celestial embrace. When the prayer concluded, the young man's eyes shimmered with tears. Thank you, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I can't tell you how much this means to me. We're just glad to help, Jacob replied, his voice filled with kindness. Remember, you're not alone in this. But I feel like I am, the young man replied, his face falling again. No one else sees my struggle. They're all busy with their own lives. Emily felt the weight of his words. She wanted to reach out and pull him into the hope she felt. Even in our isolation, God sees us. It's in moments like this, when we connect, that his love shines brightest. You are not invisible, you matter deeply. A flicker of hope crossed his distressed features. But how do I carry on? How do I rebuild? Jacob leaned closer, sharing wisdom gleaned from his own journey. By taking small steps, leaning on your faith and allowing others to help. Every rebuilding starts with one brick at a time. Emily's heart raced as she took in this moment, recognizing that within the very soil of despair, seeds of transformation could blossom. She looked at their new friend, seeing not just a man in distress, but a warrior in the making. Do you believe in silver linings? Sometimes, Our deepest wounds can become our greatest strengths. They teach us compassion, resilience, and deeper faith, she encouraged. The young man's face softened. Maybe if I can believe hard enough. Suddenly, the sun burst through the clouded sky, casting rays of light over them, illuminating the sacredness of this gathering in the middle of a bustling world. Then let us believe together, Jacob said, squeezing his hand reassuringly. Undoubtedly, they sensed an awakening within their souls, a shared purpose flourishing amidst uncertainties. As they stood together, a profound communion was born, one that urged them all to step courageously into the unknown, trusting in God's plan. But before the young man could reply, another voice echoed through the air, claiming their attention, the echo of a bell from a nearby church, drawing nearer. What awaited them beyond that sound? A deeper calling, perhaps? As they turned toward the sound, curiosity ignited within Emily and Jacob. What divine mysteries would unfold in the light of that ringing? Would they be tested again, their faith stretched in ways they've yet to comprehend? A new adventure was just beginning. The light of dawn painted the village with hope as Emily and Jacob walked side by side again. Heartbeats synchronized, spirits renewed. The marketplace buzzed, but there was a strange stillness within them, a tangible warmth where their hopes dipped and danced with anticipation. Emily looked sideways at Jacob, glancing at the parchment in her hand. Do you think we'll truly make a difference? His eyes sparkled with assurance. We already have. The way we resonated with that young man, that was only the beginning. A collective reverence hung in the air, reminding them of the profound weight their devotion carried. They both understood that they were no longer merely participants in life but messengers of goddess love, weaving through each interaction with purpose. As they strolled deeper into the marketplace, they caught sight of familiar faces, villagers who wore their own burdens like cloaks, hidden beneath smiles, beneath laughter. Emily felt a pull in her spirit, a yearning to connect with them, to hear their stories, to be a guiding light in their trials. Let us talk to more people, she urged, a deep-seated fervor igniting within her heart. Yes, Jacob echoed, his voice rising with inspiration. Let us keep the momentum alive. Underneath the vivid colors of market stalls, they began to approach individuals, sharing words, opening spaces for conversations that brimmed with struggle and resilience. With each encounter, they discovered the beautiful but often painful tapestry of life. Losses, dreams, heartaches, and joys interwoven together by the threads of mutual faith. An elderly man, rugged yet wise, sat by a stand of fresh flowers. A creased smile spread across his face as they approached. What brings you two here? Stories, Emily began, her voice imbued with sincerity. We're gathering wisdom. Blessings, any wisdom you might share? The man's eyes lit up. Every flower has a story. Some bloom fiercely against the odds. Some wilt but always have seeds. Emily felt chills race along her spine. Seeds, she whispered. Moments of opportunity that can lead to something beautiful. The man nodded, leaning closer. Exactly. Takes nurturing, faith, patience. And sometimes dying to the past gives rise to new beginnings. Jacob felt the heaviness in the air shift, a revelation unfurling before them. What moment did you face that required you to trust despite fear? He asked, curiosity glinting in his eyes. Oh, many. But the hardest was when I lost my wife. I didn't think I could go on. But I remembered our love was always a seed planted deep. And even after death, new flowers emerged. A tear slipped down Emily's cheek. Thank you for sharing that. It brings such hope. We're learning resilience through others' journeys. Then you grasp what matters, the man replied, his gaze steady. You'll find strength in your vulnerability as you connect with those around you. As they said their goodbyes, a powerful clarity washed over Emily. Her doubts began to wane, understanding that growth never came without the shadows. Wouldn't their shared stories bind their hearts into a greater community, each person reflecting the light of goddess grace. The sun dipped lower in the sky when they glanced at each other again, sparkles of excitement dancing in their eyes. Emily, this feels so right. I never thought sharing would encourage my heart, too, Jacob said, feeling lighter. With a purposeful stride, They aimed toward the church bell just as it tolled to mark the hour again. "Let us go there," Emily suggested. "I feel we're being drawn into something awaited." They wistfully walked toward the church, where the familiar aura of sanctuary awaited them like an embrace. The doors were slightly ajar, as though inviting them to enter. Inside, the pews stood filled with villagers, but this time, the air shimmered with a solemn yet warm energy. Emily could barely contain her rapid pulse. She knew they were on the verge of something miraculous. "Let us ask if we can share our journey," she said, glancing around, surveying the faces filled with anticipation. As the pastor stood at the front, Emily and Jacob approached, heartbeats quickening. They shared how they felt God had called them to serve, to care for their community, and now they wished to extend an invitation for others to join them in caring for those in need. "Wow," the pastor said, his eyes brightening. "The willingness to serve, the heart of unity, is what ignites true transformation. Let us pray that God reveals how each of you can contribute." In that moment, confidence surged through Emily and Jacob. They raised their hands together, voices joining in prayer. "Lord, use us," Emily prayed, the words flowing through her spirit. "Guide us and reveal the needs that we can meet." The congregation joined in unity, echoing prayers. A radiant light, golden and soft, seemed to settle over them as the air felt electric with possibility. As they concluded, the pastor spoke. "Each prayer in unity ignites power. Now, who here feels called to share their stories, to be part of the light that guides our community?" Hands began to rise, some more timid than others, but it didn't matter. Every voice mattered. The ripples had begun. Emily and Jacob exchanged a knowing glance, hearts swelling with gratitude. They had stepped into something more significant than their own lives. Together, they could uplift each soul and let God's light shine even in the face of darkness. After the gathering, villagers lingered, sharing their stories of struggle and resilience. Jacob laughed gently. "See? That was a divine spark." Emily nodded, the tender warmth enveloping her spirit. "We didn't just impact others, we've been transformed. God's blessings flow when we open our hearts." As evening softly blanketed the village, Emily and Jacob walked home hand in hand, souls soaring with conviction. They felt rooted among community and connection, where every setback birthed strength, and every story bore the seeds of hope. Tonight, shadows of uncertainty no longer clung to them. Instead, a divine serenity filled their hearts. They had stepped into their calling, ready for the adventure that lay ahead, intertwined as they embraced all of life's trials. Little did they know it was only the beginning. Retracing their steps into the vibrant streets, they knew they would never walk alone again. In unity, they created a tapestry of faith, interwoven by grace, revealing the beauty of living purposefully. And dear friend, those seeds continue to grow. So, let this be a call to you. How are you embracing your own journey? If you've found light among shadows, you need to subscribe now. Show your support, leave a like now to feed this algorithm. We need your testimonies. Comment below. Tell us how this resonated with your heart. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with 5 friends who crave inspiration. Let us manifest faith together. God has great plans, and you are part of this journey, so step forward.